And we should be live. Welcome everyone. We are live from Madrid. We've got about 10 minutes before to start. We're just waiting for everyone to connect. We're just waiting for everyone to get the little notification and join the live. So if you are watching this on a replay, if you're watching the video in the next few days or hours or months, if you want to go straight into the live walking tour, feel free to skip the next 10 minutes or 11 minutes maybe. We'll start at 8:15 Spanish time. Hi Tish and welcome Ronnie. Hi Natalie, nice to see you here guys. We've got about 10 minutes to go. Most of you know the drill already. I'm gonna have to test the microphone. I'm gonna tap it 3 times. Let me know if you can hear that. You should have heard a triple tap. Let me know in the chat. Oh, I do look a bit tired. I woke up at 3 a.m. to catch my flight here. So if I've got red eyes, that's why. And I've got another flight in a few hours. I'm flying to Ecuador tonight. So I literally just came down in town to do a live tour here. And welcome Laila. Oh, Emily and Carol. Nice to see you here. So we've got about 10 minutes to go. We're just waiting for everyone to connect. You've heard it, perfect. Thank you very much. And Pisas is eating chocolates right now. I want some. And Cheryl is here. Welcome, Cheryl. If any of you were completely new to me, let us know in the chat. It's always great to see some new names as well. Hi, Laurie. Usually new people turn up a little bit later on through the tour though. So it might be only my regulars so far. Nice to see you here, Sensen. And Janie is here as well. Welcome, Janie. Welcome to Madrid. Or Madrid. They don't really pronounce the D down here. So they often say Madrid. So if any of you were completely new to me, you don't know what you've clicked on, we'll go for a little live walk in Madrid. I'm not from here. I've only been here once 20 years ago, and I've only been here for a few hours. So I've done my homework, but I don't know everything. I do not claim to be an expert in Spanish history. I'll just tell you the little snippets of history I've learned along the way. And welcome, Mike. Is it Mike? I think it's Mike, I see. Oh, your phone has been buffering. Well, if you're not able to type, that's okay. We know you're here. I'm flying to Quito, Ecuador, but I'm actually flying to Galapagos. So I'm flying to Quito and then straight to Galapagos. That's why you might have seen I've got a tour scheduled in Galapagos in 2 days. I'm probably going to be knackered. That's going to be my very first morning on the island. I scheduled it in the morning because my friend is going to be diving, so that's the best timing. Hi Cindy, nice to see you here from Detroit. So we've got about, let me check, I think, oops. 7 minutes. I shouldn't do that because every time I try to check the time, I actually push the chat away. Hi Diane, good use of my time, yeah. Well, I could have taken a flight down to Madrid, but the thing is, if I was flying with the same company, it was going to cost me more. So I thought I might as well take an early one in the morning with Ryanair. That cost nothing. I think I paid 15 to come from London to here. And then come into town and do a tour. It's not too far, the city center from the airport. It took only 20 minutes on the bus earlier. Who did I miss? Hi Nancy. Did I miss anyone else? Well done. If I've missed any of you in the chat, you're welcome anyway. So if any of you have just joined and you don't know what we're waiting for, we're waiting until it's 1:15. We're going exactly at 8:15. We're just waiting for everyone to connect because, you know, it takes a few minutes before people receive the notifications and everything. and then we'll go for a live walking tour in Madrid. Hopefully the gods of the internet will be with us today, because it is live, you know, so I am subject to the signal. But I find that usually outside of London, I mean abroad, it's always better than London anyway. You know, sometimes I'm amazed to see people are able to stream in Machu Picchu and or in the middle of nowhere, and I struggle to get a signal in London. So because we are not anywhere near London today, hopefully we'll have a decent signal. Finger crossed. Why is the chat not going down to the bottom? Let me see. There we go. You're doing the internet dance. Thank you, Tish. If any of you were completely new to us or to me, let us know in the chat. We still have a few minutes before it's officially time to start. I can give you a glimpse of the view already. I don't want to say anything too interesting until it's officially time, but I can show you the view. You had a great reception in Venice. Yeah. I think usually when I'm abroad, like today, when I didn't buy a SIM card today, I'm using my London one, but I think because they partner with the local network, they actually use the best one depending on the location. So that's probably why I get a decent signal when I'm in Europe. Whether, you know, when I'm in London, I have to stick to my own provider, obviously. Although I think I should maybe go back to Stroll Mobile, because Stroll Mobile is now partnering with Vodafone. When you don't have a Stroll Mobile signal, you can jump on Vodafone. I've got a SIM card from them as well, so I could go back to them and see how it goes. Right, I think we've got about 3 minutes to go. I don't want to check. Let me know in the chat if it is time and I've missed the time. Let me know. I don't want to check because every time I try to see the time, I move the chat. And it is nearly 8:15 p.m. So we are, I believe, an hour ahead of the UK. And many hours ahead of America. When I tour from Galapagos, actually, I'm probably going to be pretty much on the time, the same time zone as some of you in I think that'll be like Central America, like maybe if you are somewhere in, well, actually, not. It's probably just 1 hour a difference from, I don't know, Virginia or New York or wherever you are. 8:13. Thank you, Natalie. So it's probably 1 minute to go now. Let's wait until it's officially time to start. Let's see. Probably shouldn't do it, but let's do it. 1 minute to go. And welcome, Sandy. Welcome everyone that just joined. Thank you, Natalie. I can hear some doggy friends in the background. It's 1:14 for you in Oklahoma. You would cancel an appointment, Sanson. I hope it's not an important one. Or are you cancelling the dentist? Are you looking for an excuse to cancel a dental appointment? It happens. On y va pretty soon. Okay, I'm guessing it is probably time to start. So, because we usually have a 30-second delay anyway. Thank you guys. Welcome everyone. And without further ado, let me flip this camera around and let's go for a little walk in Madrid. Now, behind me is the Royal Palace. I'll show you in a moment. We'll climb up to have a nice view on the palace. But the building right there in the middle, that is the Royal Theatre, the Teatro Real. We are right in front of well, now this is a little park, it's open to the public, but that's the former gardens of the Royal Palace. And the Royal Theatre, it's got an interesting architecture. Well, you probably don't see much on camera, it looks like a very grand, beautiful building, but let me show you what it looks like from the sky. I've got a Google Earth image down here, and you tell me in the chat what you think it looks like. So you can see pretty much where I was. You can see the little blue dot. So that's the park. But the building right in the middle, what do you think it looks like? Yeah, it is pretty sandy. Exactly, Linda. It looks like a coffin. Yes, exactly, Genevieve. And, well, there are two different theories, but a champagne bottle, okay, fair enough. You're a bit more festive than we are, Tish. Yeah, no, I see a coffin as well, exactly, Janie. There is a theory that it might have been built in the shape of a coffin because they found out that the little park behind me, the former Royal Gardens, were built on a former Muslim cemetery. You know, for many decades, a large part of Spain was under Arabic Muslim rulers. So there was a former Muslim cemetery there, and it is said that when Queen Isabella II, Elizabeth II of Spain, of course, not my Elizabeth, our Elizabeth. When Queen Isabella II found out that it was a former cemetery, she decided to shape the Royal Theatre in the shape of a coffin to give them a little homage to an extent. There's another theory that it was just because the shape of the streets were this way and it was just easier, but who knows. Anyway, this little memorial there, that's actually a grave, or it is alleged to be the burial site of someone. I don't want you to be able to read because I'm gonna ask you if you can guess who that is by looking at the street art there. Who do you think might or might not be buried here? Do you recognize this gentleman? Let me know in the chat. Who could that be? The little girl behind him should be a clue. I'll start walking, but let me know in the chat who do you think this gentleman might be? I'll give you a clue. I think he died in Dali. No, but he does. No, but you guys, you are right in terms of the occupation of that character. Exactly, Mitzi. It is Velázquez, Diego de Velázquez. Diego? Yeah, Diego. I said the little girl behind him might have been a clue because that's one of the meninas. Let me show you, if you don't know Velázquez or if you don't remember him, that's probably his most famous painting. So the meninas are the girls. That's actually a scene at the palace. The painter is painting the royal couple. I think that if you zoomed in, you can see the couple in the reflection in the mirror at the back. But yeah, you can see Don Quixote. No, yeah, you can see the little menina. It's the little blonde one. I think that was on the street art. Now, Velázquez, we don't know for sure whether his body is there. You might wonder, why would he be buried there in the middle of nowhere? It's actually because there used to be a church down there, and they did find a document stated that he was buried there. So then they did excavations and they tried to locate his bones. They never did. Some believe that his bones might have been removed anyway, moved to a monastery or something. So they never found these bones, but they have a little monument to him anyway. Oh, thanks very much, Jenny. That's very much appreciated. I really rely on your generosity to help me keep going. What's the temperature? Cindy is asking. Today was quite warm. Actually, you could see you were in Spain, because I got here, I was boiling with my little jumper. I would have taken it off, but I've got my big bag and everything, and I've got no space. And people were wearing like scarves, and I've even seen a lady with you know, the boots you put on at the skiing station. So you can see some people were a bit, overdressed for me as a Londoner. Yeah, it was warm this afternoon. Now it's a bit chillier. It's probably about, I don't know, 8 or 9 Celsius, I guess. Yes, Tina, that's basically a stopover. I'm only here for a few hours. I've landed this morning and I'm flying tonight. Right after the tour, I'm going straight to the airport. Now I'm climbing up a little hill here to show you a view of the cathedral and the palace. Bear with me, I have to check where I'm walking because it's very dark down here. I don't want to smash my head on the floor before my holidays. Right. I think most tourists don't come up here, but that's the best view. So you've got the cathedral down here. And let me show you the royal palace. There we go. So that's the royal palace, although none of the royals have lived in there since 1931. You might think, oh, it's almost like Versailles. Well, the king that had it built, he was French. Philip V, he was very French. He was actually born in Versailles. Let me show you another view from here. Now, you might ask me, why was the King of Spain French? He was from the Bourbon dynasty. I have to be very careful because it's quite steep and I don't see where I'm walking. There we go. So he was from the Bourbon dynasty. What happened? Sorry. I'm alive. What happened is, thanks Natasha. His predecessor, thank you, Natalie. His predecessor, you might have heard of him. That's probably, for most people, it's the only king of Spain people know. It is Charles II. Charles II, let me show you his face. He suffered from inbreeding, really. So I'm just gonna remove his photo now. You know, the royal families all across Europe, they were often very inbred, but the Habsburg dynasty, they were worse than any other. Apologies if I'm a bit slow. It's very dark, and it's like a slope, but it's not step free. Every so often you've got a step, so I'm gonna be very slow down here. Bear with me. So yeah, Charles II, he was so inbred that he couldn't conceive a child. He had some you might have seen from his face anyway. He had some issues, and he didn't have an heir. So they went to. So I'm still looking under my feet. We're nearly there. It's gonna be brighter in a sec. But I don't want to break a bone before my holidays. I've already survived a big fall on the bicycle 10 days ago when it was all frozen all over London. But yes, because it would be the worst time to get injured. There we go. Now it's brighter. I won't die now. Cool. So yeah, Charles II, very much inbred. You know, it's often the case. Even our Charles, I mean, my Charles in the UK is very much inbred. There's a coefficient of inbreeding. My Charles, Charles III of England, is, well, you know, Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, they were actually cousins, but twice. They were great-great-grandsons of Queen Victoria, the both of them, but they were also cousins from a different line. Obviously, our Charles is fine, but Charles II of Spain was far worse. He was, his coefficient of inbreeding was nearly like if his parents were brother and sister. They were not. I think his mother was the niece of his dad, but yeah, he was very much inbred, so he didn't have an heir to the Spanish throne. So they went and fetched some cousins, and they went to get Philip. He was the grandson of Louis XIV of France. You might wonder why. It's because Louis XIV, his first wife, was Maria Teresa. She was Spanish. I say his first wife. I don't know if the Spanish people are meant to know he had a second one. His second marriage was meant to be secret. But yeah, after she died, of course. So yeah, that's why the Bourbon dynasty, they were French. Now, this gentleman might look a bit scary, because from the distance he looks real. You might wonder, what is he looking at? There's not much to see, because it's a bit foggy inside, but they found the remains of a church down here, so that's what he's looking at. Let me show you. There's a little miniature here of the church, and now what you have to do if you come down to Madrid, apparently you've got to grab his bum. It's good luck. So let's give him a little touch for good luck, and let's go. You thought he was real? Yeah. From the distance, he really looks like a normal guy staring at nothing. Anyway, so yeah, Philip V of Spain is the one that commissioned the palace. So that's why it looks a bit like Versailles and stuff. Then there's another king that's very much linked to the palace. It is Alfonso XIII. Now, Alfonso is a very interesting monarch. I'll tell you a bit more about Alfonso as we walk, because we've got quite a walk until the last spot. Hi, Marty, and welcome everyone. But he was an interesting king. If you thought our Edward VII in England was a naughty boy, because you know Edward VII was said to have a shagging chair where he could have sex with 2 different prostitutes at the same time in Paris. Well, I can tell you, Alfonso XIII was worse in that matter. But for now, Alfonso was due to be married to the granddaughter of Queen Victoria, actually a young Victoria. And the parade, the wedding parade came down here. Now, there was a guy that was Matteo Moral. He had said he was going to kill the king. Well, he didn't say it, he wrote it. He had carved on a tree, "I'm gonna kill the king," signed Matteo Moral. That's a bit silly when you're planning to kill someone, but that's what he did. Then he checked himself into that building straight up. That used to be a hotel. He checked himself into the hotel with his name, Matteo Moral. And then he actually, the day of the parade, he got a bomb. He was at I don't know if it's the top floor or the one before the top one, and he hid his bomb in a bouquet of flowers. And as the procession came through, so the king and the new queen, Alfonso XIII, he was king since he was born. I think his dad died when his mother was pregnant. Hi, Jimmy. And so yeah, Matteo Moral dropped the bomb with the bouquet, But at the time, there used to be a tram down here. So when you have a tram, you have a cable. The bouquet hit the cable and went ricocheted and went a different way. So the king and the queen survived, but that wasn't the case for everyone. You had quite a few victims. That's why you have a monument for them here. 25 died, also, although some said up to 28, because some might have died a bit later. And 100 were injured. So horrible attack on the king. Matteo Moral was, well, officially he shot a police officer and then killed himself. Officially, that's what happened. But, well, the photograph taken by the police was analyzed by forensics, you know, like gun forensics, and they think it's not possible. So they think basically the police shot him. There's no evidence apart from that photograph, but they analyzed the bullet hole in his torso. They think it's not possible. Anyway, I'll tell you a little bit more about Alfonso XIII in a sec. For now, let me cross over the street to show you some Kaganers. I might try to get inside of the shop, see if she lets me. Oh, thank you. If not, I'll show you a little videos. Kagane, so it's basically a defecator or a pooper. Now, this is not a tradition from Madrid, it's actually from Catalonia. You might have seen those before, those little characters basically taking a dump. If you get easily offended, close your eyes and your ears for a few minutes, because some people don't like them, some think it's disrespectful. It's not. Actually, for people in Catalonia, it's a sign of good fertility. It's good luck. It dates back to the, I think, 17th century. They usually put those into the nativity scene. Now let's see if we can go in. If not, I'll show you the video. Hola. ¿Me permite tomar una video? Gracias. Look at them. Oh, here is Boris, Rishi, the Queen. What's funny is they've translated, so Queen Elizabeth, they didn't say Isabella, they said Elizabeth. King is not Carlos, he's Charles. But look at William, he's Guillermo. I bet you never saw Guillermo taking a poo. It's funny that people in Spain still translate. In French, William is Guillaume, like William the Conqueror. We would say Guillaume, the Conquérant, but we don't translate anymore. So, for example, our Prince William today, I would never call him Prince Guillaume. Spanish people still translate, so they'll talk about King Carlos or Queen Isabella or Prince Guillermo. Oh, you've got Harry Potter, that's for you, Linda. So if you've never seen Harry Potter taking a dump, there we go. Again, it's not like mockery. I mean, those are quite original and funny, but it is a Catalan tradition that's quite old. If you want to see Voldemort taking a poo, there you are. There he is. So that's quite a fun tradition. I've only shown you my favorites, but you've got anything from Freddie Mercury to David Bowie. It's quite a fun place. And there you go. Right. Gracias. People are very nice here. In the UK, they would never let me get into their shops and film their item without buying anything. Well, at least not in London. In some places in the UK, I'm sure they would, but in London, they're like, no. Anyway, back to Alfonso XIII. So Alfonso, the one we just mentioned, so as I said, he was born already king, and he went down to visit Edward VII in London, and that's how he met Victoria, the granddaughter of Queen Victoria. You know, Queen Victoria was known to marry all her grandchildren to royalty all across Europe. He was very much attracted to young Victoria, but you know, there's a problem with the Saxo-Coburg-Gotha family. It was also that they were all inbred, and in the dynasty in the UK, we had a problem with hemophilia. It's a disease that affects the X chromosome, so it's quite rarely, girls rarely get affected because ladies, you know, we have two X chromosomes. So if one is carrying the bad gene, but the other one is fine, then it's fine. But then you can be a carrier of the disease and you don't know. Back in the day, of course, there was no way to check. Boys could also get the hemophilia, but boys would actually get it, you know, once they carry the gene, because they have only one X chromosome. They would sadly carry the disease. So for Alfonso to marry Victoria, it was a bit of a gamble. Anyway, we'll get back to Alfonso. For now, let me show you the city's armories or logo. So you might see it's a bear eating a strawberry tree. We'll see the actual bear in a moment. Well, not the actual bear, but a statue of the bear. And let me face back up. This is Plaza de Villa. Villa. It's basically place of the city. Villa. It's the town. I think that's the former town hall. Actually, the building straight ahead. Now, back to Alfonso. He decided to marry Victoria anyway. So he was fully aware that he was taking a bit of a gamble in terms of hemophilia. He was fully aware that his kids could be affected. He decided to marry her anyway. Sadly, two of his boys were hemophiliac. The first boy that was meant to be, that would have ended up being Alfonso XIV, suffered from hemophilia. And actually, the two boys, they both died in quite similar accidents. The accidents that would have been fairly benign, but because they were hemophiliac, they bled to death. And after his boys being positive for hemophilia, he started to completely distance himself from his wife Victoria, which is so unfair. He was aware that she might be a carrier of the disease, you know. He chose to go for her anyway, but hey ho. And then he was, he became a bit of a playboy king, but you know, a lot of them were. What was slightly more unusual about Alfonso, it's that, let me cross over, it's that, not only did he enjoy a few prostitutes, he became a porn producer. Yes, you've heard this right. A pornography film producer. We're talking in the 20s, so we're talking black and white silent movies, I'm guessing. Imagine like a Charlie Chaplin, but porn. And not only was he producing it, and he had his home cinema and stuff, but he would... he would be involved in the casting as well. So he would cast the actresses, and apparently he had he did choose the scenarios a bit. And they were not, when I say porn, I mean proper hardcore porn. I don't say porn because, with the sensibility of the day, no. There were some sapphic stories, there were some priests having sex. I mean, it was proper porn. And apparently he was watching it in his home cinema with his mates. I don't know why would anyone watch porn with his mate, but hey ho. So he was an interesting king, Alfonso. He's also the one that lost, you've got some water fountains here, so you can fill up your water bottle for free. Those are drinkable and everything. Yeah, he's the one that basically lost the Philippines and a lot of the Spanish colonies as well with the Spanish-American Wars. And then he wanted, he was fighting to keep his colonies in North Africa, you know, in Morocco and stuff, but that was lost as well eventually. And then Franco took over anyway, so... right, we are arriving at Plaza Mayor. So this is pretty much the proper city center. I wouldn't come and have dinner here, it's very, very touristy. And people keep approaching you to sell you something or beg. Now, down here, they used to do a few things. I think they used to do bullfightings down here, but they also used to do some horrible public executions. At the time of the Spanish Inquisition, they used to do some executions down here. And a bit further behind, we're not going to go, but there was the prison down there. The executioner lived right by the prison at the back of the church. He was not allowed to, when he went to church, he had to sit at the back anyway. The executioners during the Spanish Inquisition, they would, you know, they'll wear those kind of hoods anyway, so they wouldn't be recognized. But, you know, when you sit at the back of the church and you go home and it's behind the church, people can put two and two together. And their sons had to become executioners as well. Very good money though. And then you'd, you know, you were a civil servant and you'd have an accommodation and everything. I'm not sure I would want the job, but you know, at the time anyway, someone had to do it, you know. You have adverts for kayak. Well, I suppose it's a travel video, so some people might click on it and expect some travel ads, or might be planning to book a trip in Madrid or whatever. So it is probably targeted to an extent. Anyway, let's go down to Porta del Sol. Down here it's a lot of souvenir shops and stuff. I think there's one dessert that everyone has. Oh, they might have closed now, that's the one. There's I think it's like chorizo, I cannot say it. Churros that you put into some kind of chocolate like Nutella. That's quite... I'm gonna try not to stay too much down here because you see there's a busker. So if he's playing a tune that is copyrighted, I could have a copyright issue. So I'm gonna accelerate a little bit. Hi Barbara, yes, I love the prison stories. By the way, remind me if we see any lamppost, I'll show you something. There were some earlier, but I forgot to show you. Every single lamppost in Madrid, they have a little number. You might wonder why. Why would I want to know the lamppost number? Well, it's because it's for emergencies. I rose and welcome everyone that just joined. It's for emergencies. So if you, let's say you spotted someone having a heart attack and you wanted to call the emergency services, or even if you've been attacked and you want to call the police, and if you don't know where you are, what you can do is go to a lamppost, tell them the number, and then they'll be able to locate you. So that's very convenient actually. We should do that everywhere. Oh, there is a lamppost there, but that's a tall one. Hope the number is visible. And let's go down to Porta del Sol. So Porta del Sol, my understanding is that it's like it's a bit like our Trafalgar Square in London. It's the place where you'd come for a protest. It's the place to gather. So you'd come if you want to protest. They'll probably come down here as well if they, I don't know, if they won the World Cup and they wanted to celebrate or something. Pretty much like our Trafalgar Square. And it's also apparently down here that everyone comes for New Year's Eve, because see the big clock right in the middle of your screen now? Well, there's I think it's like four-faced, but the front one, that's where everyone stands waiting for the clock to go to midnight to celebrate New Year's on the square. And you can see they have the metro system. I didn't take the metro, I didn't need to. The city center is not that big. You can do everything on foot. I spent a few hours down here walking to find the best route for the tour anyway. You could take the underground to go to the airport. In my case, the bus was easier because the underground you would have had to pay an extra £3 to go to €3 to go to the airport, and change like twice, so bus was easier. The king on his horse, that's Charles III, I think. Not mine, not my Charlie. No, Carlos III, the Spanish Charles III. Oops, sorry, I just stepped into a water bottle. How late are the shops open? Oh, I don't know how late, but Spain is awake way later than many countries, really. If anything, some of them might even close at siesta time and reopen and be open in the evening. Although I did walk past a few, after the shop with the Cagare, there was a bookshop that was closing. So some of them might be closing now. Are there language challenges, or is English also spoken? Barbara, I would say in central Madrid with the touristy shops or the touristy area, I would say everyone has basics of English. But I don't know, because I speak a bit of Spanish anyway, so I did address them in Spanish, but I think you wouldn't have a problem, no. Maybe down little villages and stuff, but in the touristy area, I think they all speak English. Now let's go and see the bear. It's actually a bit odd. You might wonder, why is a bear on a strawberry tree, the symbol of the city? Well, apparently it dates back to I think the 12th or 13th century. When there was a dispute between the church and the city council about who was in charge of the forest or the land around the city. And the bear, actually, they used to have some bears down here in medieval times, but the bear represents the Madrileños, the city boys and girls, and the tree represents the local forest. So basically, the inhabitants of the city have the right to use the goods of the forest. Well, that's my understanding of it, at least. But you often see it on the little fridge magnets and everything, and people are taking their photos. I think Porta del Sol might also be, I think they have a little plaque somewhere. I think if you calculate the distance, like if you see a sign that says, I don't know, Sevilla, 400 kilometers. I'm saying random. I don't know if it's 400 kilometers, but I think it's calculated from right here. I think there's a plaque somewhere. Well, exactly like Trafalgar Square in London, when you go down to Trafalgar Square, if you see there's a little plaque, it's the center where they calculate the distance from. So I think that's the one down here. Cute bear, yes. Well, I'm expecting to see quite a few bears in the next few weeks, because obviously I'm going to Peru. That's where Paddington is from. So I might see a few Paddington statues in Peru. Well, I don't know. I know there's one in Agua Calientes next to Machu Picchu, but I'm not going. So we'll see. You need a beer first. Right, now we've got quite a bit of a walk to go towards the last palace where we have the most infamous ghost in the city. Of course, you know me. I also checked out true crimes. I didn't find any that was well, apart from the assassination attempt, didn't find any fascinating ones that were on our route. But I found a very interesting case from 1997. Eva, I guess they pronounce it Eba because it's Eva for us, but Eba Blanco. She was, well, the murder itself is quite a classic one. She was a pretty young girl, 17 years old. She was sexually assaulted and stabbed. So very tragic case, but sadly, it happens. Fairly regularly. The most unusual thing about the case is that it became a cold case. They didn't find the killer. It was not here in central Madrid. It was in Alrete. It's behind the airport. And the case went cold for 15 years. They had some DNA though, and they could tell from the DNA samples that the perpetrator was from North Africa. Maybe Morocco or Algeria. They could see from the gene profiles. But they didn't have him registered anywhere. To match DNA, you have to have them in a criminal database or something. The guy wasn't. But 15 years later, they knew the area the guy might be from. So they decided, I'm guessing it was voluntarily because you cannot force the full population to give their DNA, but they asked voluntarily a lot of the community that was from North Africa if they would be okay to give a DNA sample, just to eliminate them, you see? And then they had what we call a familial DNA match. They found someone that was a sibling, and then they caught the perpetrator. So 15 years later, because his brother, that had no clue his brother had committed a crime, he gave his DNA, they found the match, well, a sibling match, and boom. The guy took his own life before to be tried. But if my brother went to give his DNA and then I got caught because of a crime I did commit, I would hate my bro. Anyway, it is a very powerful technology. It's not the first case. I think that was in the first one. I think that was it would have been 2003. I think in Lancashire somewhere. It was. I think it was the first time ever that this happened. Similar scenario. They were able to locate someone because of their family members. I also thought it happened in Edinburgh, in the famous World's End murders. I thought the brother-in-law Sinclair was found out with this type of familial DNA as well. I'm pretty sure I saw a documentary about it, but I checked with ChatGPT today, and ChatGPT said no. Well, ChatGPT doesn't know everything, but I don't know why. I thought it was the same technique being used. But anyway, it really shows that it's much harder today to do the perfect murder. There are so many forensics techniques nowadays that they can even identify you with the DNA of your siblings or uncles or grandmother, whoever it might be. I think siblings are easier because it's much closer, but yeah, genealogy forensics. Right, when we cross over the streets, let me Don't let me forget to show you the little green man. It's a bit like London. We've got the gay ones as well, you know, two little gentlemen holding hands. Oh, let me see if I can find the number on this one. There is a lamppost here. They should have a number, but no, I don't see it. Earlier, I should have shown you by the palace. They all had a number. I cannot see it on this one. It must be somewhere. Unless it's only down the very city center, because we've kind of left the city center, but no, I don't see it. Should have shown you earlier. Anyway, yeah, the little green men or green ladies. Oh yes, of course, they did identify Richard III as well with DNA. But he didn't, well, I was going to say he didn't commit a crime. Actually, he might have, you know, there's the story of the two little princes, but we don't know for sure. Anyway, yeah, as we cross over the street, I need to show you the little characters. You know, in London on Trafalgar Square, you've got those two little gentlemen holding hands, or two ladies holding hands. That started at the Pride of 2016, and we decided to keep them. Well, I've spotted some all across Madrid. Well, most of them are straight. Well, I mean, most of them are a little man or a little lady. If you consider it's the lady wearing the skirt, I mean, you never know, you know, nowadays. But I've seen some gay ones as well. So hopefully we'll see when the light goes green. Anyway, we're going straight down towards a palace, an aristocratic palace, Palacio de Linares. It is potentially the most haunted building in Madrid, and there have been a lot of complaints on sightings and workmen that refuse to go. Security, hold on, should I try to run? Let me run before it goes red. Securities that refuse to work there. We've made it because apparently at night there's a lot of paranormal experiences that happen. Well, whether the ghost is there or not, I'll let you be the judge of that. But let me tell you the story behind it. The palace was the home of the Marquis de Linares, and he had a son. At the time, his son was called José de Murga. At the time, you know, when you were from an aristocratic family, you were expected to marry proper, you know. You were expected to not marry below your station, you know. And apparently, the Marquis, José de Murga's dad, had told him, you know, you can marry anyone. I'm happy for you to marry anyone. I want you to be happy. Oh, thanks, Linda. That's very much appreciated. So he was like, yeah, I want you to be happy. Marry anyone you'd like. And, well, Jose was like, well, actually, Daddy, I've met someone. Oh, let me show you the little ladies. I think that's the lesbian one. We'll get back down to José de Murga in a second. See what I mean? I'll try to zoom in. There we go, lesbians, like in London. Well, unless it's just a man wearing a skirt, but yeah. Right, so Spain was a very early, one of the earliest countries to allow gay marriage. Well, one of the early ones of the Catholic countries, at least. Anyway, back to Jose. Jose told his dad, well, actually, I've met a girl. She's a cigarette seller. And his dad was like, oh, hold on. What's her name? And he was like, well, it's Ramonda. And his dad was like, no, you're not married. No, you're way too young. You're way too young to marry. You're not marrying her. No chance. And Jose was a bit like, what? he's just told me I could marry anyone, and now it's no chance whatsoever. And José wanted to keep seeing Raimonda, you know. So his dad decided to send him to study in London. So he was sent to London for 2 years, so he wasn't able to see Raimonda anymore. His dad was hoping that maybe José would forget about Raimonda, but the lovers were still writing letters. And eventually José received a letter saying his dad was very, very unwell. He was dying, so José had to come back to Madrid. At the time, you know, you couldn't jump on a Ryanair flight, so he had to jump on a boat first, then on a horse, or on a train as well. They did have trains already. And sadly, when he got back to London, his dad had died. So José was, of course, very sad, but now he was the Marquis, and he was able to marry whoever he wanted. So he went back to find Raimonda, and he married her. So they got married, they enjoyed a bit of time together, and eventually José went into his dad's office, and he found a letter that was addressed to him. By the way, this is not the palace, this is Palacio de Cibeles. The one I want to show you is on the other side. It's the Palacio de Linares, the one straight ahead now. We'll cross over so you get a better view. So yeah, he went to his dad's office, and he found a letter that said to José. So he opened it, and his dad was like, José, if you read that, I'm probably dead. I wanted to tell you for a long time, I never loved your mum, but I did love someone just before that. She was a cigarette seller, and we had a daughter called Raimonda. So of course José was horrified. He had just married his half sister. So, by the way, there's another version of the story where he didn't actually marry her yet, but they still decided to marry at that point. So let's stay on the version that they didn't know when they married. It's probably better. So at that point, they're like, oh crap, we half siblings, we married, what do we do now? And they decided to go and see the Pope. The Pope was the only one that could help, you know, because of course in the church they say you cannot marry your sibling. So this, excuse my finger, but this is the building. This is the Palacio de Linares. Today it is a museum. It's Casa de America. It's a museum inside. But so yeah, they went to see the Pope, and the Pope said, all right then, well, since you are already married, you can stay married, but you cannot sleep together. And they were like, okay, well, fair enough, you know, we love each other, so we'll stay married. Well, the only issue is that Raimonda was pregnant. She hid the pregnancy, you know, she stayed locked into the Palacio. They had a little girl. They called her Raimondita. Oh, this guy is gonna be in trouble. This is such a big road. Oh, there we go. He's probably a bit intoxicated. Yeah, so they had the little girl, Raimondita. She was hidden at the palace. According to one version of the story, they built her a little home a bit further from the palace so no one would have any suspicion. But people started to see the little girl at the balcony or through the windows. They could see her playing at the back, and they started to be a little bit suspicious. It is said that eventually the lovers were so scared of the Pope, you know, because they would have had to admit to the Pope that, or to the church, that they didn't listen to the Pope, they didn't follow the order, they did a bit of jiggy anyway. So one night, Raimonda, it is said, drowned little Raimondetta in the bathtub. There's another version of the story. It might be the same. It is also said that little Raimondetta was walled up. So whether she was walled up alive or if it's the drowned little body that they put into the wall, but she was basically bricked up into the walls of the Palacio. And Raimonda, the mother, so Daddy would have hidden the body, but Raimonda, the mother, she took her own life up there. Now, it is fair to say that it's a bit of an urban legend. The couple did exist. Actually, let me show you a picture of the couple. That's Raimonda and José. So they definitely exist. There was definitely a little girl involved, but they pretended that it was their goddaughter, little Raimondetta. Was it really or was it not? There's no evidence that of any wrongdoing. There's no evidence that it was indeed their daughter. There's no evidence that she was killed. That's the little urban myth. And with all the intrigues, how did they know that their mother's husband was their father? Hold on, let me read that again, Suzanne. How did they know that their mother's husband? No, so the lady, the Raimonda's mother she was single, so she knew that she had got pregnant by her lover, the Marquis de Linares. So there was no doubt on the paternity. Now, this little restaurant here, I'll show you the name. It's called Raimonda, after the ghost. Oh, I didn't tell you yet about the ghost, but it's coming. After the ghost of Raimonda and Raimondetta. I'll show you the entrance. So yeah, it is said that since that day, a lot of people have had some paranormal experiences, so much so that in the 90s they had some TV productions coming to interview people, and they came with paranormal investigator. So you see the restaurant is called Raimonda, after Raimonda and Raimondetta. It is said when they did a lot of refurbishment in the 90s, a lot of the workers, they would come down here to the restaurant for breakfast, and then they would tell people what they've heard all night. Noises, visions. Some people felt sick, some people were vomiting, they felt nausea and stuff. So whether it is the ghost of Raimonda and Raimondetta, I don't know, but let's see the prices. Ooh. Oh, no, that's not too bad. Whether it is the ghost, we don't know, but there was definitely something happening. So much so that they had to offer more money for the security to work at night, because no one wanted to take the job. And you know, when they came with all those paranormal investigators, they did do those, you know, when they have those paranormal investigators, sometimes they do recordings. They're trying to record some frequencies that we cannot hear with our human ears. I'm gonna play it. Apologies if it's a bit too loud and stuff, because when I play a file, I can't hear it because I've got the microphone on. So you'd have to tell me in the chat if you've heard it, and if you have to tell me if you've heard anything. So this is allegedly an actual recording from the paranormal investigation, and let me play it. Did you hear a voice? It's a bit faint, it's a bit in the back, but did you hear a voice? Let me know if you've heard it, and let me know if you've been able to spot what the voice says. If not, I'll play it again so you can hear it again. What does the voice say? Well, it does sound like someone says, Raimonda, Raimonda. And this is it is a legit recording. Well, according to the paranormal investigator, officially no one was hiding in the background, or there was no way. I mean, we have to trust them on that one. But they say it was done seriously. That it wasn't a prank. That's really what they heard. So that's quite a lot of people feeling sick. Is there any rational explanations? Yes. People feeling sick, it could be, it's a Victorian building, so there could be some arsenic in the wallpaper and stuff. And the noises, well, it was built on underground river. It's a bit the same, next to Newgate, the tavern there, where they hear a lot of noises in the basement. It was also built on underground river, so there could be something with the water kind of echoing some sounds or whatever. But when you listen to it again, it really sounds like you hear Raimonda. So who knows? Now, there's one last little funny story that I didn't tell you. If we go back to the king we mentioned earlier, little Alfonso, Alfonso the 13. He, as we mentioned, he was a king very early, so he was a boy king. And apparently in 1894, he was born in 1886. In 1894, he lost his first tooth. So he was very sad because he lost a tooth. And then there's a writer, Luis Colonna. He wrote a little story of a little mouse, El Ratoncito Perez. So the little mouse would come, and if he placed the tooth under his pillow at night, the little mouse would come, the Ratoncito Perez would come and give him a little gift, or maybe a little coin. It might sound familiar. You might know the little Ratoncito as the tooth fairy. In Britain, we see fairies everywhere, but the original story, it is actually a little mouse, El Ratoncito Perez. In France, La Petite Souris. So in France, it's a mouse as well. Now, El Ratoncito he's got a home here in Madrid. Let me show you the video. I went there this afternoon to show you. Hold on, is that the one? No, sorry, not this one. I couldn't see because the recording is there. Ratoncito, there you are. I don't know how to remove this one. Anyway, let's play it. So it's on a little street. It doesn't look like much. You wouldn't give it any attention. But if you open this, ta-da! You've got it. It's home. You can see a tap to brush his. I'll play it again. To brush his teeth. So yeah, you would ignore it. You would completely, if you didn't know. I mean, if I wasn't told, I wouldn't have found it. But it's on Google Maps, so I did find it. Then you open it, and ta-da! That's the home of the Ratoncito. There's a portrait of him at the back as well. So that's very cute. So that's technically the home of the tooth fairy. Right, let me remove that. And let me show you my face again. This is gonna be the end of the tour. Let me know in the chat if you have any questions before we go. Thanks for coming tonight. It's always hello. It's always a pleasure to have you on board. You know what? Let's go back down this way because it's gonna be a bit quieter. And actually, there's another lamppost here. Let me see. That's not fair. Ah, yes. No. Yes. Hey. Right. Let me flip the camera around. See, there's a number 2 up there. It's funny because I saw a number 2 earlier. By the palace, so they probably go back to number 1 at some point. But see, you could, if you call the emergency services, you could be like, well, here it doesn't matter because you can see the name of the street anyway, so you could just tell them you are on Calle Pedro Monos Seca. But if you don't know where you are, you call the emergency, you're like, oh, I'm by Cibeles somewhere, I don't know where, I'm next to lamppost number 2, and they'll find you. Right, thank you guys for coming today. Thanks everyone that dropped me a little tip as well. It's very much appreciated. It is really thanks to your generosity that I can keep going and spend more time doing some research and stuff. If any of you drop me a little tip on PayPal or buy me a coffee, that's as much appreciated. I don't see them live, but I'll see them later as well. And thanks Marilyn, thanks Jenny, thanks Rose, thanks Tish, thanks Sanson. Thanks everyone for coming. If you want to see a bit more of me, don't forget, in 2 days we're going to Galapagos. I've scheduled 3 tours in Galapagos, and if you want to make sure you don't miss them, make sure you hit the little notification bell, because you know, sometimes when you travel it's very difficult to plan ahead and know exactly the timing and stuff, so there could be changes. I hope not, but you know, there could be some last minute changes. So if you want to make sure you don't miss the tour, hit the little bell. This way, even if I had to change the time or even the date, who knows, you'll get notified anyway. So make sure you do that. Great to hear that you're looking forward to Galapagos. If any of you were completely new to me, if you've made it that far into the video or into the live, please do consider subscribing. It helps me, but also it's easier for you to see the live streams when they are live, because it's very easy to miss them and then you end up watching a replay, which is fun as well, but it's just nicer to be live with me or with us in the chat. And thank you guys for coming tonight. I'm gonna love you and leave you. I'm gonna try to look for a toilet before I jump on the bus to the airport. It's gonna be a bit more complicated because I'm not gonna go into Remonda restaurant. I think there was an Irish pub down there. I might try to go and pee in a pub, and then I'll jump on my bus to the airport. Thank you guys. Have a great evening or a great morning, a great afternoon, whatever time it is for you, wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.